Um, and so I'll tell you what I know.
Okay.
Um,
I know a little bit too. What
Okay.
do you know?
so maybe we could like
Yeah.
see. So what I've been told is that a lot of these vans are not moved actually,
Mhm.
and that so so let's say if you park your car on Cal Ave,
Yeah.
and you park there for 3 hours,
Yeah.
right, you will get a ticket,
Right.
you'll get a fine that you have to pay. What happens in the case with the RVs right now is, well, not as RVs, but anyone that parks.
Yeah.
So if you park your car for 72 hours, so more like say 75 hours, let's say 80
Yeah.
hours, you would just get a warning. You never
Yeah.
get a ticket. So the issue that I've been told is that what happens is unlike 2 hour parking,
Yeah.
right? If you do 72-hour parking, if you violate that, you basically just get warnings.
Mhm.
So one of the issues is because our 2 hour parking and our 72-hour parking are not harmonized in terms of,
Yeah.
like with 72-hour parking you get a warning, with 2 hour parking you get a fine.
Yeah.
You can imagine you can imagine what happens if we just gave warnings on 2 hour parking.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen?
Not a whole lot.
So that's the
Yeah.
issue, right? So
Well, that's one thing. I have spoken to the police about this because my annoyance about this is I'm actually, you wouldn't know it from this complaint, but I'm very sensitive to the housing
Yeah.
issue, and I actually have graduate students living on El Camino.
Mm.
But this guy's gaming the system. That is not a housing crisis. He spends his time in the zoning office studying the maps to figure out where he can, and he's been there for 3 years. And as you can see from this, you can't have two cars can't pass each other on
Yeah.
that narrow street, especially with something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just that, I mean, apart from the blight, it's a hazard for cyclists, pedestrians. And so what I would like to propose is a change in the signage
Mm.
to 4 hours or 2 hours or something. It's not quite residential, but it's just on the edge
Well, the
of
issue that I've been hearing
residential.
from a lot of people isn't, I mean, is that even the 72 hours not being enforced, right? I mean, forget about the
Yeah.
4 hour or 2
Yeah.
hour or whatever. It's not even being enforced the way it is right now.
Well, the worry I have is that even if it were enforced, if he gets into it and drives around the block at 3 o'clock in the morning and returns to the same place,
Well, at least,
he's technically within the law, and that's
Well-
what I mean by gaming the system.
but right now what happens is you don't get fines, right? I mean, because most of the campers, from what I'm told, they park more than 72 hours and they never get fined. So that's the first issue, right? So we're not even enforcing our own law. So that's the first issue. But you're talking about the more aggressive.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
a guy who is, I'm using the phrase gaming the system because that's
Yeah.
not the way the laws were,
Yeah.
that's not what the laws were set
Yeah.
up to do, and he's,
So
Working it.
I've heard this topic so much.
Yeah.
I mean, from so many people. I have people who complain about like, people dumping jugs of urine in their trash can,
Yeah.
to using the water to.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some people complaining about like people doing tricks in the vans and just like
that's part of the reason I'm kind of sensitive
Yeah.
about not turning this into a homeless issue,
Yeah.
which is a separate issue that I think we need to be dealing with
Yeah.
as a community. But
So definitely heard you on this, right? But
Okay.
as you can imagine, it's a very kind of sensitive like topic, right?
Mhm.
So so you've actually talked to.
I have not talked to him, but I have talked to the resident. I don't even know what he looks like, but I have talked to the parking office a couple of times, and they said, as long as he moves it every 3 days, their hands are tied. They can't do anything.
Mhm.
So, and that's what annoys me because he's just working
Yeah.
the system, and I do believe, as do many of my neighbors, that it actually is a significant hazard, and it's not just a visual nuisance. Although it's that too.
Well, this street's crazy narrow, right? I mean, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, to pass it on your way back to
Yeah.
wherever you're going.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've had people come here
Yeah.
often hours complain about how driving on El Camino, like some of those stick out a lot into the
Yeah.
traffic. Like so they have the little things extend out, and
Yeah, El Camino is a state road. This is,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about 3 blocks that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
You'll see what I mean. Okay, so I've registered that, and I
Yeah.
hope that we can
well,
have a kind of a gradation between the larger,
Yeah.
I think, social issue of the housing crisis
Yeah.
and certain individuals who
So
are abusing the system.
I'm very sympathetic to what you're saying, I think one suggestion I have for you is, if you can, I think you should try to speak about this to council meetings. Like
Okay.
one of the open sessions. I think it's the people that have been trying to get to work on this, actually the Planning Transformation Commission. So if you can actually speak at one of the Planning Transformation Commission meetings, because this is one of the small issues for council, and there's a lot of issues that we deal with.
Yeah.
And I think the Planning Transportation Commission is the ideal group to help work on this.
And I've done so several times. I'd be happy
Oh,
to again.
You spoke
Not
about
on this issue.
Oh, okay.
I've been here for 30 years.
it? Okay,
So.
yeah, so you should definitely go there and speak about that issue, and if they get enough kind of public interest to work on it.
The other issue, I think this is sort of a done deal, so I'll just register it. That's for you. It'll take you 5 minutes to read. It was my opinion piece in Palo Alto Weekly a little while ago. I think this idea of a $40 million parking structure in the CalAV district is close to insane, and I cannot believe that the council has accepted that idea. And what you're basically doing is locking us in for another generation to the existing system, which is how many cars can we bring into a neighborhood? And that's not the solution. The solution is how many people can we bring in? And I think a truly imaginative city council would be thinking out of the box rather than building another box.
Well, one of the things that we talked about was actually some cities, like, have you been to Las Vegas?
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Yes, I was at the Consumer Electronics Show in January.
Or like have you been to downtown Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay. So in downtown Las Vegas, they have a partnership with, I think either Uber or Lyft, I forgot which one. But basically, if you take Uber there, it's free, right? Now going out of there is not free, but going there is free. Like if you go from the Strip to there, it's a free. I don't know, they have some sort of deal where it's automatically free. You don't have to pay.
I think 100 ideas like that are what I would like to see, and building a $40 million parking structure is not one of those ideas.
Well, my point is, if you think about like $40 million and how many Uber trips I could pay for, or Lyft trips, that's quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, so what's as I understand it, the Architectural Review Board is now signed off on a plan for the garage. The City Council has approved it with only one exception, that is Adrian Fine spoken to.
The council has voted on this, right?
Yeah, and it's happened.
But it has not yet.
Oh.
So a vendor has to be approved. So there's going to be an RFP that put out. So it's not a done deal yet. It's almost a done deal.
Yeah.
So
you should see my inbox after I published that thing. So there were a few fairly, I would say, I gotta say, rather stupid responses online, but a huge number of people have written very favorably responding to that.
Actually, I have seen this. So
yeah,
thank you
You
for.
can have it as a souvenir.
Thank you. So I think that there are a lot of other ideas, right? Like car stackers. Like if you put, I'm not sure you've ever seen those car carousels.
Yeah.
Right. So you could have like in two spots, you could put 10 cars on there. It has like this little carousel that rotates around. And you can put those in within like 24 hours. I've seen a little YouTube video where they will like build this whole thing.
Yeah, I understand the merchants want a short-term, an immediate solution to the problem. It's just the concern I have is that certain solutions commit us to, in this case, more cars over a very long term. I mean, we're talking about a generation, a decision now that we'll have.
Well, not just that, but I mean, were you at the meeting when we spoke about this?
I was not able to.
Did you watch the video?
No, I had such a demanding work schedule.
Okay.
I just can't.
Well, anyways, one of the things we talked about was
there's a video of it?
It's all of our sessions are recorded. You can watch it. You should watch it actually.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So during the session, right now staff has proposed a parking lot that's full of ramps. There's this like ramp that goes all the way up, like a spiral ramp. And the big problem with it is that it's, first of all, it's $40 million.
Yeah.
Second problem with it is that it maybe one day with autonomous cars and better transit and this and that, the parking lot's not needed. So what a lot of cities have been doing is they've been instead of building it where it can only be used for cars, making it so that it could be repurposed for other things. So basically having all the floors level.
Yeah.
And just using car lifts essentially, right? So that if one day you want to convert it to an apartment building, or you want to convert it to a whatever, right? You can, right? What's being proposed right now, and this is why I opposed this kind of flavor, is it can only be used for cars, because I mean, or either that or the world's greatest skateboard rink, right? I don't know, but it's
That's for you.
so it's kind of a travesty that to sink that much money into. So there's one more shot at this, right? An RFP has this going to go out, or it's probably gone out already, and a vendor has to be selected. And I think that this ramp type thing is, first of all, I agree with you that there's a lot of other potential solutions, like what downtown Las Vegas did, but also having like this kind of like sloping structure which will only be used for parking or skateboarding. I don't know any other uses that could be used for, right?
No.
I mean, we want sloping
I think with
floors,
a bit
right?
of imagination, you could think of one other thing. No. Yeah.
Water slides.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, there's not too many other uses that you'd have with sloping floors. I couldn't support sinking that much money into something like that where that's the only
But
use.
I thought the council did support it.
The council supported. We supported that. You have to watch the video.
Okay.
If you watch it, so I think Corey and a few others tried to get it so that it could be multi-use. And so I guess what I'm trying to encourage you is don't give up the fight.
Okay.
So
There's a fair amount of support in the community
You
for
should.
not giving up that fight.
So I would say that there's an RFP that's going to come up. It's probably going to be on one of our consent calendar, where there would be an award of this contract to some sort of vendor. And if this is not if this is sloping floors and not being able to repurpose this for other uses, I will oppose it. Right.
Good.
So,
Good.
officially I can't. We're supposed to make decisions at the council meetings, but highly like.
And of course, you have to see how it's worded in the
Exactly,
PIA.
exactly.
Okay. Well,
So-
that's good. to
So
know.
what I would encourage you is to, and I'll ask my staff to kind of make sure that they keep you informed. But
Could you do that? Yeah,
Yeah.
I would make the request that if
yeah,
I don't know how many people you've got to keep informed about things.
Well,
but if
we-
you can,
so maybe at least you could put them on Airtable as someone that's interested in the CalApp parking stuff. And when this will come to consent calendar at one point, we will reach out to you like
please
say,
do.
hey, what do you think about this, right? And maybe what you could do is you could help mobilize people
Okay.
to because by the way, by the time this is the RFP stage, it's really hard to change,
Yeah.
right? In terms of most council people will rubber stamp it, right? The staff recommendation, and so and there'll be no public discussion, and so but that will be the last chance
Okay.
if you want this change.
When's that going to happen? I mean, the approximate time. Are we talking months? Are we
They
talking?
put out the RFP. I think what you do if you want to really track this is you can go to Planet Bids. That's what the city uses for procurement.
Mhm.
And you can see what people are bidding and what kind of proposal they have. In fact, I would really strongly suggest you do that. So you go to Planet Bids. It's a public portal with the city puts in RFPs, and then you could see who's responded.
I'll make a little note of that. So.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Planet Bids.
Okay.
Planet Bids. Is that what's called? It's Planet
I believe
Bids.
so, yeah.
Planet Bids. And you register on then you see all the RFPs, you see all the people that are proposing. Don't be surprised that might be more than $40 million, right? So, and then they'll bring one of the bids and put one of the bids on the consent calendar for council to approve, and then that will be the last
shot.
chance.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But thank you for being involved. I think both topics you bring up are like
Yeah.
critically important. And just not across what area do you live in?
Pardon?
Where's your house?
My house, you can't quite see it, but it's on Margarita. So I'm
okay.
almost 2 blocks away
Okay.
from where we're sitting right now.
Okay. Wow. So you definitely could walk
been-
there from here.
I've been here for 30 years or something.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your work. Thank you for your vigilance.
Yeah.
And I think stay involved.
Thank you for your service.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you for helping.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Pardon?
Is there anything else you want to chat? No?
No, those are my two
Okay.
agenda issues.
Okay,
Would
thank
you
you.
like that or shall I shred it?
No, I'll keep it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
My
you.
verbal prose.
Okay, appreciate
Okay,
it.
good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
She hasn't shut up yet.
Okay. I'm gonna run this.